Yo. Hi. Hope you well, hope you well, hope you swell, hope you swell, hope you swell, hope you wave, hope you wave. Hope you wave, yesterday, I tried an alternative method. Good nerve. Yep. I like uploaded the different thumbnails, the ear-to-ear transmission request. Well, that's what I was doing here, but I think the thumbnail strategy and focusing less on like this and just trying to do it without the toilet roll, it didn't work. It did not work. It is not as quickly as the other videos in terms of the keeping. So, you know. So I think the key is I'm gonna have to brainstorm and see. Someone came up. Anyway, I still think it's important for me to every now and then try different ideas to see if I can find something that works, because this is, you know, it's consistent in that I know I can get 1,000 views, right? Which was my goal not too long ago, to get to a point where I can get 1,000 views per video. But I want to grow. I want to get 2,000 views per video, 5,000 views per video. So the question becomes, what exactly can get me there? Is it a thing of just do what you're doing and the views will naturally increase by themselves? Or is it a thing of adopt new strategies? I'm not sure. Maybe I should just keep doing this and then, you know, the views will increase as the subscribers increase. But I think it would be nice to have alternative methods in case this ever stops working, because, you know, with YouTube, it's a funny thing. Something that works for you now might not work for you later. It's weird how that works. I'm not sure why that is, but you know, they make adjustments to the algorithm, maybe. I don't know, but it's obvious that people are tapping on, when they see this thumbnail, they're more likely to tap on this. So I don't think YouTube can control that necessarily. So it'd be weird if a shift in the algorithm somehow influenced that behavior. But yeah, anyway. Not possible that all the algorithms can influence people. But yeah, I'm gonna zero in on this. It takes discipline to focus and just commit and like not get tempted to rock the boat, because, you know, you get greedy. You're like, I'm getting a good amount of views now, but I want more. So then you try and switch things up and then you get punished. It's like, no, this is working. You know, I'm getting like 1.5, 1.6, 2,000 views per video. It's a good place to be for now. So I just need to maintain discipline. Discipline, and I'll be good. And it'll be good. Anyway, I was watching this video. I actually shared it on my community tab of the South Korean 4B movement. Well, the alleged movement. it exists, but you know, Western have kind of blown it out of proportion, making it seem like bigger than it is. And in the video I shared, that the woman, she's South Korean, she was saying that this 4B movement is not nearly as big as the Western feminists make it seem. Because if you don't know what it is, it's basically women who are abstaining from sex and marriage, and all they just want to be alone, right? And it's not for the reasons the Western feminists say, because the Western feminists say South Korean women hate their men so much that they are bowing out of marriage and sex entirely and dating, and they're just choosing to be single, even at the cost of their civilization, because South Korea has the lowest birth rate in the world, and that has it's wreaking havoc on their economy and society. And you know, I don't want to go into that whole discussion, but long story short is they're struggling. They're struggling a lot because of the demographic crisis. I can explain it very simply. As your younger population shrinks because you're not giving birth, your older population increases, which means your welfare expenditure increases as well, because you know the elderly need pension, which means the tax burden for the younger people increases, because pension is often provided through tax and stuff like that. So, and there's also maintenance of infrastructure of your general society. You know, taxpayers pay money to the government to keep things running. So when there's less people to do that, it means you pay more. So that's just one of many different issues we can talk about. Other things, the army dwindling in its numbers because of the population decline, and North Korea is constantly threatening South Korea and trying to attack. And I think in January they were launching missiles at South Korea, and there was a whole incident there. And so, you know, as South Korea's population declines and they lose young men, the risk of them being invaded by North Korea increases. So Western feminists were celebrating this, saying that the South Korean feminists are so fed up with men that they're willing to let that happen. They're willing to let North Korea come in and rape and pillage and do all this crazy stuff because South Korean men are trash. That's how trash South Korean men are. So the woman in the video was just saying, that's cap. She was saying, number one, that's not what the 4B movement is about at all. It's not because the women hate men. I think they're doing it for their own reason. I'm not sure if it's a religious thing, or I'm not sure what's prompting that. But it's not that. But also there is a feminist movement in South Korea, but it's very, very, very extreme. But it's also very fringe. And they're not celebrated in South Korea. So women might be shocked about the attitudes towards feminism in South Korea, even by other women. Feminism is not viewed as a good thing there. I mean, it's not viewed as a good thing in many places. But particularly in South Korea, what's different about South Korea is even the women are like, this is trash, because of how extreme it is. So it's, you know, the Western feminists, they'll say things like men are trash, you don't need men, men are useless, yada yada yada, which is a lot of what the South Korean feminists say, but they go a step further, and they wish death upon people, and I think they actually try and hurt people. And she was sharing links to videos of apparently very gruesome things these feminists were doing. I didn't look at it because I wasn't trying to ruin my day, but yeah, these feminists are extreme. Like, they're crazy. They're not, but they're fringe. They're not. There's not a lot of them, but so she was saying that feminists are viewed in the same way that like people view like Andrew Tate, for example. Like if you say like, as a guy, if a guy says, oh, I follow Andrew Tate, there is a stigma and kind of a negative perception of that sort of individual, even though I think it's not I think the sort of guy that might like some of the things Andrew Tate has to say isn't a bad guy, because there are very good husbands and family men who like some of what Andrew Tate has to say. So I think it's a false parallel, but regardless, there is that stigma, right? There is that perception. So in the same way, like the feminists in Korea, if a woman says she's a feminist, you get looked at the exact same way. That's what the woman in the video said. She said it's almost like it's the same thing. And she was just saying like most of her friends haven't even heard of the 4B movement, which again should not be conflated with feminism. It's just that the Western feminists have kind of co-opted that whole thing and are making it something it's not. But yeah, the Korean lady was saying most of her friends haven't even heard of the 4B movement. And when you Google the 4B movement, if you Google it on the Korean version of Google, like on the Korean internet, I guess, on the Korean side of the internet, you don't really find many articles addressing this whole 4B thing. But then if you type in 4B movement on Google, you get all these Western media outlets talking about it like it's some prevalent issue. But it's funny because there are no real people from South Korea talking about it. It's just people from Vogue and all these other places, these other publications talking about it. But they don't know what they're talking about. It's purely conjecture. And yeah, that lady was saying that most of her friends want to get married, want to have children. It is challenging because of Korea's economy. People are finding it difficult. But she was saying, yeah, like just like most girls, normal girls at least, like they're looking forward to getting into relationships, looking forward to having kids and living that life. That's what most people aspire to. Even men, they look forward to getting married, having kids. It's a natural instinct to have a family, have a tribe. It's a very natural instinct, and that's not going away anytime soon. I'm telling you, if the general population ever gets to a point where they're literally willing to go extinct for convenience, because it's just too hard to have kids and whatnot and all this sort of stuff, there's a serious problem. Like you're sick, like your society is sick. If you're literally willing to accept extinction just because eh it's too hard. That's crazy. Don't take my word for it. People will get mad at me for the things I'm saying. This is what South Korean women are saying. So, you can go look at that stuff. And you have to look at South Korean women because, you get some Korean American women who don't live in South Korea, but they think they're authorities on this subject. It's like, you're American. Your genetic heritage is South Korean, but you're not South Korean, you're American. But they think where their parents were from, just because their parents are from South Korea, it gives them some sort of insight. That alone gives them insight. That's not to say you can't comment on these things if you're not from there, but you have to do your research. You have to know what you're talking about. And I've seen it with a lot of these Korean American women, they don't know what they're talking about. And it's an easily fixable issue. You just do your research and then voila. Now you know what you're talking about. But yeah, you having Korean heritage by itself doesn't mean much. Like you actually have to be living there and seeing the ins and outs and what people are living there, the people who live there are saying. No, fam. It's not an issue. The birth crisis is a very real thing. It's a very real thing, but yeah, they're attributing it to the wrong things. The real issue is it's a bad economy, and the government is trying to fix that. They give money to new couples, newlyweds. They pay you for getting married, and they pay you for having children. They're trying to do that. I don't think it's working. Even countries like Italy, who are also suffering from low birth rates, the entirety of Europe and North America is suffering from low birth rates, and many parts of Asia suffering from low birth rates. So the government's trying to throw money. All these governments are trying to throw money at the problem. I don't think money is the issue. Because here's the thing: people will say it's the economy, it's the economy, it's the economy. If you look at low-income nations, like developing nations, you can take your pick. A lot of them have, pretty much all of them have very high birth rates. Zimbabwe has a very high birth rates. If you can pick any African country you want, it probably has very, very high birth rates. Not all African countries, that's cap. I think I read somewhere about a few African countries that are starting to decline, but the vast majority, don't have this problem. You go to South America, you're not seeing that. You go to parts of Asia, you're not seeing that. But people have observed that the more money people make, the less likely they are to have kids. They either have less children or they don't have children at all. So that's something that needs to be talked about, because even if you go to South Korea, Japan, all these countries that are affluent, they're affluent compared to other nations. I just think it's bad management that's creating all these economic issues, because they have the money. It's just I don't think it's being managed well. So bad policies, bad enforcement of policies can lead to your money not stretching as far as it should. For example, in America, high taxes, high wages for jobs that shouldn't. For example, the increasing minimum wage, that tends to have very negative effects, because it increases costs for a business, and then if costs go up, prices go up, and that creates issues, and then people stop buying from your business, and that forces the business to close down. Then the employees are unemployed. So yeah, it's a whole bunch of bad policies that create a whole bunch of issues. So in the case of Korea, I think there are people in that country. I know there are people in that country who are actually earning a lot of money and are doing well in that economy, but are still not having children. How do you explain that? Married couples even that could be married, they just don't want to have kids, and they'll have the money to have the kids too. What's the excuse there? We just don't want to have kids. It's not for us. It's like, well, if everyone says that, then you end up with the lowest birth rate in the world, which is what South Korea has. And it's a problem. And the country is suffering, and the elderly are suffering. Like in Japan, they keep finding old people who died alone in their homes. Like that's an increasing phenomenon, where you go into someone's apartment and you find out that they've been dead for weeks or months, and they died alone. Maybe they died of starvation. It's terrible. It's ugly, because they have no one to take care of them. So people can say like, like if you don't want to have kids, it's our choice, and you can't tell us what to do. And yeah, I can't tell you what to do, but at the same time, it's a correct thing for me to say that it's selfish to refuse to have children, especially when you're seeing that the crisis your country is facing. If you can have children and you actively refuse to, that's crazy to me. Especially when things are this serious. In a society has an incredible birth rate, 6 point something, the replacement rate is 2.1. So if you're at 2.1 in your country, you know, you're above the red line at least. I'd say don't strive for the bare minimum, because 2.1, you're still kind of risking it. I'd say get to like 2.6, maybe 3 even. I think if you're at 3 point something, then the country can have the luxury of having some people that are like, we're not going to have kids. But when your country is at 0.8, so you're far below the replacement rate, if you're shrinking, your population is declining, and the amount of old people is increasing, and there are more people dying in your country than being born, and old people are being kicked out of the countryside because there's not enough people there paying tax to justify government sending resources towards those regions. So old people are being pushed into the more urban areas, and that's how you end up with situations where these old people live by themselves in these apartments and end up dying by themselves, and then they only get discovered like months later. And it's becoming an increasing issue, and it's making its way into the news and stuff. That's how me here in South Africa, I know about it. Think about how crazy that is. It's enough of an issue that I in South Africa know about it. When things are getting that bad, and you have people that are like, I still don't want to have children because I want to have fun, or I just don't like kids. I'm like, how's that not selfish? How's that not incredibly selfish? Again, if you're in a country where you have this amazing birth rates, so there's room around the edges for people to play, to not be serious, then yeah, again, no one is going to look at you any type of way because we don't need you. But when things are this bad, dude, and everyone needs to work together and everyone needs to get serious and put the country first, put survival first, this nonsense of I don't want to have kids, it becomes so childish and selfish. You sound like a brat. Let's say like it's a apocalyptic scenario. Humanity's on its last legs, and if people don't have kids, humanity will go extinct. Imagine people saying, but I don't want to have kids because it's too much work and I just want to relax. Imagine those people saying that. It would be ridiculous. Of course, people are like, we don't give a fuck. Have children. The human race needs to survive. Like, let's say like it's a sci-fi movie and you're in some foreign planet and your numbers are dwindling. Like it was your mission to go and colonize Mars, and then you're there trying to colonize Mars maybe, and then there are people saying we don't want to have kids. We just want to have fun now. It's like, are you dumb? I mean, yeah, it would be crazy to. I don't know how you'd force someone to have sex and have kids, but it would be fair to call that person incredibly selfish. So Korea in particular, the world really is in no position to have this attitude of we don't want to have children. It's just not the time to develop a sense of urgency isn't when things have gotten so bad that you can see how bad it is. Things are already bad. Like I said, there are more people dying in Japan and South Korea than being born. And eventually, I think they said by 2050, there are going to be more old people in Japan than young people, which is crazy. And in South Korea is obviously going to reach that milestone long before Japan does. But, wait, what point was I about to make? These tangents of mine, I go on tangents, then I lose my train of thoughts. I was making the point that things are already bad, but People want to wait until things get catastrophically bad. Like, oh my God, I can't believe this, we're in hell. They want it to get that bad before they wake up and like, oh no, guys, we need to have kids, we need to have kids. By that point, it's too late. Because that was a build up. It was a ripple effect. Things, you made decisions that led up to that point. So now you're trying to turn the tide and you can't. The moment to act is now when you're seeing the warning signs. When you're in it, you're in it. It's too late. And the issue is the when countries get into these deficits, when they begin shrinking, there hasn't really been any example of a country turning that situation around. So people don't know if it can be done because it hasn't been done before, for as long as we've been recording these statistics at least. So there's a concern that like what we're seeing can't even be reversed. But I don't think it's impossible, but it takes the will. It takes the will of the people to, at the very least, people must be willing. You know what I'm saying? Everyone must come together and as a communal effort say we're going to produce the next generation. We're gonna fuck and we're gonna have kids. We're gonna get married first. First get married and then we're gonna fuck and then we're gonna have kids. You have to have that attitude as a community, like encouraging family, encouraging sex, lots of it, and lots of children. I think Gen Z and Gen Alpha have the least sex of any generation ever. We are fucked, dude. Our generations we're just dead in the head. We have so many issues, so many problems. We're the sexless generation. We have the worst mental health. We have this issue, that issue. Oh my God, bro, it's a lot. I mean, you can play the blame game because people always want to blame someone, but it's like, guys, that's not going to solve anything. What are we going to do to provide a future for the people that are coming after us? Because there are going to be people that are born into this world who are going to inherit the world we leave behind. How bad is the planet going to be? How good or bad is the planet going to be when we're gone? And how will they be speaking about us? Because we like talking about the prior generation, right? Blaming them for all this stuff and whatnot. Maybe you might have valid points, but how are they going to be talking about us? Are you just going to pass on the blame to the boomers and the whatever else? I don't know, the millennials? I don't care. They're not going to try and hear that. They're going to be like, you're the ones who were in charge and look at the planet you gave us. So, while you're young, while you're young, make best use of your time and your youth, especially the ladies. I don't know where women are getting information these days, but there are a lot of women I've noticed who genuinely believe that if they reach their 30s, well, it's mainly Western women. You go around the world, most people don't. I don't know what it is about Western education that's making women think this, but it's common knowledge that women's eggs and the quality of their eggs decrease as they get older. So by the time you reach 30, it becomes extremely difficult to have kids. When you reach 35s particularly, like your mid-30s, they start to classify your pregnancy as a geriatric pregnancy. So you literally have a geriatric womb, and you increase the probability of your child being born with all sorts of issues, and also you experiencing all sorts of issues during pregnancy. So you're putting yourself at risk when you're getting pregnant at that age. And yes, medical intervention can make things easier, but it's expensive. That's something people don't talk about. So some women say, I'll just freeze my eggs when I get older. Can you afford that? Have you done research as to how much that costs? And how successful, what percentage of women that do these things actually end up getting pregnant? Like, you need to do research. Most women past the age of 30, if you reach your 30s single and childless, yeah, you're gambling. It's literally 50-50. So 50% of women who are single and childless who remain single and childless. Like 50% of women in their 30s who are single and childless remain single and childless. So please don't do that. Don't play these games. And someone will always say, like, my friend or my cousin, her mom gave birth to her at age 40. So therefore, all women can give birth at age 40. It's such an asinine argument. The oldest woman to ever give birth was like 74. She gave birth at 74. Does that mean all women at 74 can give birth? Of course not. It's women, historically, women in their 20s. And teenagers. It was a wild time back in the day, but women in their 20s were the ones giving birth. Well, that's still true now, but people understood that. They understood that your most fertile years are in your 20s. This is established facts in biology. We were taught this in school. Everyone knows this. Apparently, Western women don't know this. They think it's possible. It is possible, but the probability decreases when you get in your 30s to have children. I think you reach like a 28% success rate or something like that of sperm inseminating your eggs when you have sex in your 30s. It's like the chance of that happening is like 28% once you reach your 30s, as opposed to it being above 50% in your 20s. With each year that passes, those numbers just decrease. So you can imagine in your 40s how low it is. So the women that do get pregnant in their 40s, they are anomalies. They're not the norm. So I'm just hoping that more people wake up and realize that the time to have kids is now when you're young. It's not. Don't save that until your 30s or your 40s. You're going to be very sad when you want to have children and you realize you can't because you were fooling around. Anyway, I'm gonna get cussed out probably by someone in the comments. It's just facts. It's just facts. Please don't get angry at me for facts. It is what it is. Drop a baby in the comments if you got this far. Drop a baby emoji in the comments if you got this far. Yeah, let me know what you think. You know, I like to pray at the end of my videos. Dear Father God, thank you for this individual watching this right now. Thank you for making them whole, unique, and guide them on a path towards peace, prosperity, and purpose. Peace, prosperity, and purpose. Thank you for blessing this person with wonderful people in their life who love them, take care of them, bring the absolute best out of them, and thank you for intending the ones that are there to do the same thing. Thank you for blessing this person with the spirit of gratitude so they can give thanks for all the wonderful things in life, and by giving thanks, they can find peace, contentment, and attracting for more blessings. Let your presence be felt in this person's life so they know that you're God, that you're real, that you love them, and always going to be there for them. Good health, long life, and happiness over this person, ever in the care, by your mind, and brain, Jesus, and brain, Jesus, and brain, amen, 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 amen.